Hello, and welcome to Your Vote Counts, a public service program for the May 18th Special Districts election produced by Capital Community Media via remote technology in collaboration with the community groups of the American Association of University Women, the League of Women Voters Marion and Polk Counties, and Salem City Club. For the Salem Keizer School Board election, all candidates were invited and they all accepted. Candidates were asked to prepare a 2-minute opening statement telling about themselves and their qualifications for the elected position. I'm Cindy Condon from the Salem City Club, and I would like to introduce Osvaldo Avila, running for the school board from Zone 1, who will now begin with his opening statement. Welcome, Osvaldo.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here and share who I am and why I'm running for the school board. I'm one of 6 proud children of Mexican immigrant farm workers. I was raised in Independence, Oregon, but we make West Salem our community with our 2 children who are attending middle schools, where I'm also running for the Salem Keizer School District for Zone 1. Growing up, education has always been a strong value for my parents. They ingrained it upon me and my siblings. They didn't get the opportunities that we have. And so by coming and immigrating over to the United States after my dad had to drop out in the 3rd grade, yet he's the smartest man I know. They emphasized the value of that education, as I mentioned. However, they entrusted that same type of development upon our teachers and counselors, but I was treated more of as a number than I was a student, and I almost allowed that to defeat me. However, I managed to meet with the right personnel, the right encouragement, and finally listen to my parents that education was going to get me socially and economically upward. So after graduating, I completed college at Chemeketa Community College, where then I transferred to Portland State University and eventually earned my master's in educational leadership and policy through the College of Education at Portland State. I've now committed my career serving in public service, where I work for the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, working on grants to improve graduation in post-secondary, including career technical education as well. And that's what makes me most qualified candidate. So I work for the community, improving education outcomes for all students. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that information, Osvaldo. Now, the following questions were developed by the sponsoring groups, and the candidates did not receive them ahead of time. There are 7 questions, and each candidate has 9 minutes in which to answer them. Not all questions need to be answered, but the candidates will be given the same questions and the same 9 minutes total time, which includes the time it takes to ask or repeat a question. The candidates' responses to the individual questions will not be timed. Now, let's give candidate Osvaldo Avila an opportunity to address some questions and topics of concern to our community. So, Osvaldo, let's get started. If elected, in what areas of the school board responsibilities are you particularly interested?
Very important to raise our graduation rates for all students, but we really have to take a look at what our data says. And we have to look at disaggregated data to be able to make strategic investments and increase the services that we provide our students to the next level. When we really have to talk about focus through an equity lens perspective. So if we're going to serve all students equitably and fairly and provide the outcomes that we all desire, then we have to look and speak from race, ethnicity, because those are our lowest graduation rates. We're only as strong as our weakest link, as the saying says, and it's so true for our communities and our schools. So improving graduation rates through reforms, policies, providing culturally relevant curriculums, diversifying our workforce and making sure our students are represented. And we're providing meaningful professional development and supports for our educators to help engage our students, including with and adding more ethnic studies, curriculum studies, supporting our Black African American student success plans and their curriculum, and supporting our Native American Alaska Natives to Success Plan and supporting that. And then of course we got a Latinx leadership, Latinx Latino student success curriculum coming down the way as well. So being part of that, being mindful, listening to our communities, listening to our youth, our students, to what they need and what's really going to work and help increase and move the needle into closing these graduation gaps.
Okay, and now to something in the news recently. If the district moves to elect school board members by zone rather than at large, what effects do you think it will have to elect school board members by zone rather than at large?
Running right now with an at-large, I definitely feel there's not so much barriers, but I also see the interested parties that are supporting all the candidates, special interest groups, and it makes it hard for smaller, less resourced candidates to be able to reach across a large district like Salem Keizer, a large city area of Salem Keizer cities. So it would actually improve the interests of our communities, our neighbors, and they'll be more involved, engaged in the process to make sure that they have a voice in their community representation. And I think it will reduce the influence of special interest groups, and we're going to be more effective. And it might be a little bit challenging for neighborhoods that are less diverse, but I'm okay with that. I'm bilingual, I'm bicultural, I understand these systems. I've been able to be successful through many support systems and individuals, and just the way the communities are around us, me and my slate of other candidates. We can see that what we really care about, what we have a lot in common, is actually producing inclusiveness, diversifying our schools. What really matters is increasing graduation and providing pathways for our students. Bottom line is we care about the student success, and that's what I intend to do if I'm voted onto the school board, and make sure that I'm representing my community. So I would support a vote by zone only.
Okay, thank you. Now, in several places, district policy for the school board states that there is to be regular opportunities for public feedback. How is this ensured, and what would you do differently than the current board, if anything, now, if you're elected?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, in several places, district policy for the school board states that there is to be regular opportunities for public feedback. How is this ensured, and what would you do differently, if anything, to ensure it?
Yeah, it's disheartening to know that our school board has made it very difficult for public testimony. We're a community, we're a school district, and we need to ensure that our families, our students, our communities have the opportunity to provide public testimony. We need to leave that up and open as far and wide as we can. Throughout this pandemic, we can see that our technology has been an available asset, and we should be looking at what opportunities we can continue to bring in for public testimony, as well as once we get back to normal and we're able to be in person, allow for public testimony and not be limiting these opportunities. Many of our families, work in hours that school board meetings take place. So if we can able to provide different times that we can meet as a school board, provide recording, provide live video options as well, we need to do that. So I will be moving to supporting and opening up public testimony to make it fair and equitable for all our families and communities to participate, and as well as participating and offering, reaching out to other speakers of other languages. We have a very diverse, I think over 80,000 languages spoken here in the district, in our city of Salem Keizer, and we need to make sure that we're including all the voices, and we have a responsibility to make sure that we are reaching out to them and we're providing that space for them to provide that public testimony.
Okay, and now to another issue in the news just recently. What do you think about the decision to skip standardized testing this year?
You know, there's never been a test for our students designed in this format. So our students, yes, they've lost some learning. They've been able to adapt to the incredible responsiveness of our educators to be able to provide education formats and platforms that we weren't thinking and we weren't ready for, but they responded. So I applaud the efforts that they did. However, we have challenges. We have challenges from our students, and but they want to succeed just as well as our parents want our own children to succeed. As myself, as a parent of two children, since there was no designed assessment for them, how are we going to assess them? I really appreciate what the Oregon Department of Education has done to address this situation and engage our students and continue to moving them forward, creating opportunities, and the teachers making sure that their students needed the additional help and the support, and they're making the phone calls. They're having the conversations through Zoom, and I'm okay with not being able to provide a state assessment when our students are not receiving the education that will prepare them correctly, equitably for that test.
Okay, and in the short time we have left, what steps would you take to address the disparities in academic performance before the pandemic and now as we transition to in-school instruction?
You know, what steps I would take to address those disparities is, again, we have to use disaggregated data, and we need to look at that data, how it's being taught to our students, the information, the curriculums designed for our students, if they're equitably designed for them, which we know they're not. We need to ensure that equitable access to support for success and culturally sustaining coursework is invested in and embedded into our district. We need to develop an inclusive discipline for all of our students and do that equitably. And lastly, you know, we provide access to integrated wraparound services and supports through community, parent, and family and educator support systems.
Okay, thank you. And that ends the time for our questions today. And so now, Osvaldo, it's time for your closing remarks, and feel free to include contact information.
Hey, thank you so much. Again, it's been a very pleasure answering those questions and providing some insight. And I'm running for the position for the Salem Keizer School Board because I continue to hear stories like mine, and I want to stop them from happening. I want to create inclusive environments, culturally competent teachers that provide diverse perspectives, administrators and students that are reflective of our Salem Keizer communities, and the students that fill our classrooms and hallways. I want to make schools a welcoming, change place for our parents and students, where they're engaging with our educators and their students towards success through collaborative partnerships while we're listening to our youth, listening to our educator needs. With my experiences and the innovative resources working with communities and schools, I am uniquely positioned to advocate for all students regardless of their backgrounds. My priority will be to bring the light of the injustices of our traditionally marginalized students that they have lived through, to be able to succeed and graduate with the tools and resources and encouragement to pursue post-secondary educational aspirations, whether that's college, technical, high-skilled level career technical fields. Excuse me. I'm asking you to vote for me as for director of Zone 1 for the Salem Keizer School Board, because I am the most qualified. I connect with my community. I represent the majority of our community. I have shared and lived experiences, and I know what it needs to take to be able to make them successful and improve our communities, improve our civically engaged graduating seniors. And I would like for you to support me. You can visit and get more information at osvaldo4skboard.com. That's OSVALDO 4 skboard.com.
Osvaldo, thank you for your time today and sharing your thoughts. And thanks also to Capital Community Media for the extensive efforts made to make this program happen. A special thanks to you, the public, for watching in order to become a more informed voter. Remember to vote by May 18th because your vote counts.